Shalom Aleichem for Shabbat V'halotcha. Mishnah Yomi is in chapter 4 of Gittin, Mishnayot Chet and Tet today, finishing up the chapter of Tikkun Olam. Yesterday we mentioned there were a couple cases where a husband gave a divorce and we would not allow that couple to get remarried mipnei Tikkun Olam. And the issue here is the husband could say, oh, if I'd only known those vicious rumors were false or that neder, that vow could be annulled, I never would have given a divorce in the first place, and this would cast doubts and aspersions on the legitimacy of this woman's second marriage. Now, Mishnah 8 brings a similar, but not exactly the same situation. Hamotziat ishto mishum aylonit. A man is divorcing his wife because he found out she is aylonit. We mentioned in Ketuvot, an aylonit is a woman who doesn't have the normal biological characteristics of a fertile female person. She's assumed not to be able to have children because she doesn't have the normal shape and voice and skin of a woman. Rabbi Yehuda says, Lo Yachzir. This man may not remarry this woman, even if later out it turns out she's not an aylonit. Maybe she got married to a second husband, and Baruch Hashem Mazel Tov had children. Turns out she was never an aylonit. So again, for Tikkun Olam, Rabbi Yehuda says we don't want the first husband to go around casting doubts on the divorce and therefore doubts on the legitimacy of her children from that second marriage. Chachamim Omrim, and this is Rabbi Meir, as the Gemara explains, Yachzir. They could get remarried. And Rabbi Meir holds, as explained in the Gemara, that if he's getting divorced on condition, now if he doesn't mention a condition, then it's just a regular final divorce. There's no reason to question it later. If it's on condition, it has to be a Tanai Kaful, a doubled condition. So the husband would have to tell her when he gives the get, I am divorcing you on condition you are indeed an aylonit, and if you are not an aylonit, this is not a divorce. So it has both the positive and the negative. We learn this out from Bnei Gad, Uvnei Reuven, when they make their stipulation, we will go and fight with our brothers in Eretz Yisrael and conquer the land, and therefore we will inherit after that the land in the Transjordan. And then they add the negative also. And if we don't go over and fight with our brothers, we will not inherit the land in Transjordan. We'll just inherit with everyone else. So that's the Tanai Kaful, the doubled condition. It makes it very serious, and everyone knows exactly what's going on. Nowadays, we don't have any Tanaim, any conditions whatsoever on the Gittin to simplify and avoid these problems. Now, the Mishnah adds, Niseit la'acher, the purported aylonit got remarried, v'hayu labonim memenu, and had children. Mazel tov, she was never an aylonit. Hitovat ktuvata. Now she wants to go back to the first husband's because she has to pay tuition now and receive her ketuva money. Now we learned about in ketuvot if the divorce was because of aylonit and the husband didn't know at the time of marriage she was an aylonit, so what's called mekach taut, a mistaken transaction. Then in such a divorce, she's not entitled to ketuva. After all, the husband wanted to get married to have the option of having children with this wife, and it turns out he could not. So now this purported aylonit who's not an aylonit wants her ketuvah from that first marriage. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Omrim la, we need to tell her, shtikutech, your silence, yafelich midiburich, is better than saying anything. It's better to keep quiet. Because this first husband is going to be saying, oh, if I had known you were not an aylonit, I'd have to pay you, and it would turn out everything was a mistake. I never would have given a divorce, and they're going to start claiming that these children from the second marriage are, God forbid, mamzerin. A Mishnah Tet, the 9th Mishnah, Mocheret Atzmo, a man sells himself, that's Banav Lagoy, and his children to a non-Jewish master. He's selling himself into servitude. He's getting money, and he's going to go work for this non-Jewish family. Ein Podin Oto. We do not raise the money and redeem him from his captivity, his servitude. Now, in the Gemara, they explain this is where this Jewish man has actually done this before once or twice. So now it seems like he's settled into a pattern of selling himself into servitude to raise cash, and then relying on the fact that his Jewish brothers, the Jewish community, will band together and want to raise the money and redeem him from captivity. He's like, oh, wow, I made some profit from that. I'll do it again. So obviously for Tikkun Olam, we do not want people doing this. We do not want people playing such games with, God forbid, their own children, their own freedom. It's not right. Aval, but even in this situation, Podin at the Banev, we would redeem his children. If the father passes away, well, they're still working for the non-Jewish people. The idea being when the father's there, he can at least educate and train the children and help them keep mitzvot. But without the father there, these children are going to become basically non-Jewish unless the Jewish community steps in and saves them. Finally, Hamocher et Sadehu, A man sells his field, legoy, to a non-Jew in Eretz Yisrael. Lokeach, he has to purchase, umevi menu bikurim, and bring from it the bikurim, the first fruits. Mipnei Tikkun Olam, for the benefit of society as a whole. Now, the idea here is that we do not want the Jewish people to sell their fields to a non-Jew in Eretz Yisrael. So it's sort of a knas, a penalty. We would force him to go and buy the bikurim so he could bring bikurim to Yerushalayim. And in this way, he'll actually have an incentive to raise the funds and buy this field back from the non-Jew so he can bring the bikurim himself. It's sort of a financial incentive. The Rambam and the Tosfot have a different girsa. They say if another Jew, a second Jew, is buying the field from the non-Jew, he has to bring bikurim, and the idea there is that the purchase made by a non-Jew of land in Israel does not remove the kedusha, the sanctity of the land. So they still have all the mitzvot, the proper mitzvot, the mitzvot that depend on the land of Israel. Those still apply even when a non-Jew owns the land. That's a big discussion there in the Rambam, the Tosfot, and the commentaries about that issue. We should all be zoche to obtain land in Eretz Yisrael and to never need to sell it and enjoy the kedusha of the mitzvot. Shabbat shalom, be well.